However, we also have a new old skin coming.
The ship girl that will be getting a new old skin is Helena.
This is the command from the Admiral. So, it's so nice. Before, I was always worried about it. But now that it's the command together, it's okay. The feeling is
Hey everyone, Uncle Milkshake here. Today in this video, we'll be talking about Helena, who is a drop-only ship in Azur Lane.
はじめまして、指揮官。私はヘレナ。敵を探索するのが得意なの。お願い。私たちを勝利に導いて。
Helena is an elite Eagle Union light cruiser that gets retrofitted into a super rare. She is of the St. Louis class, which is a subclass of the Brooklyn class. Hence, she only has one sister in this subclass, which is St. Louis. Her voice actress is Tomoyo Chujo, who voiced other characters in Azur Lane like Helena Meta and Lena, Sendai, and Ajax. She does not have many other roles, but she is widely known as Heidi Tomoyo from Dino Girl Gakko. Alright, so moving on to naval references. There are a few differences that set the St. Louis subclass apart from their Brooklyn sisters. The first is by having a higher pressure boiler, and the second is a unit system of machinery, which was a method that arranged the ship's propulsion machinery into separate autonomous units. For the St. Louis sisters, their boiler and engine rooms were alternated to ensure the ship did not get immobilized when hit by an unlucky strike. Their anti-air armament was also improved, and they were the first US cruisers equipped with twin 5-inch 38 caliber guns. You can actually see these guns in Helena's retrofit art. This improvement in anti-air is also shown by her and St. Louis having higher anti-air stats than Brooklyn, Honolulu, and Phoenix. However, Boise does have a higher anti-air stat than St. Louis, though still lesser than Helena retrofit. Perhaps it's because Boise came later into the game, but I'm not too sure about this. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Like her Brooklyn sisters, Helena was one of the first modern light cruisers that were intended to counter the Japanese Mogami class, which became heavy cruisers after their rearmament. She does mention this reference in her self-introduction.
他の従順姉妹に負けないようにデザインされたけど、私一人の力ではみんなを救えないわ。指揮官、私を助けてもらえるかな?
In one of her voice lines, she mentions having spare parts. This could be a reference to her being fitted with 110 Type JR1 battle lanterns, which were twice the number she was supposed to have. However, after she sank, the Navy decided that this number was suitable for her size.
みんな無事帰還したよね。でも後半に部品が増えている。なんだろう。
Helena's reserved and shy personality is actually a form of post-traumatic stress disorder. This is due to her participation in some of the largest and bloodier surface battles in World War II. These include the attack on Pearl Harbor, the Guadalcanal campaign, and the Battle of Kula Gulf. During the attack on Pearl Harbor, the Japanese made a mistake by expecting Pennsylvania to be at her usual place at the docks. But instead, the torpedo launched from the B-5N torpedo bomber passed underneath USS Oglala and exploded against Helena's hull, causing the starboard engine and boiler rooms to flood. The wiring for her main and secondary guns were also severed. Luckily, Helena's crew managed to restore power back to the guns. So in a sense, you can say that Helena took the shot for Pennsylvania, who was supposed to be the target. So in-game, Helena tells Pennsylvania to cover her instead. As for other references to Pearl Harbor, Helena has voice lines when sorted with Oklahoma, Arizona, and California, who all sank during the air raid. On the other hand, her participation in the Battle of Kula Gulf is referenced in her retrofit skill, the Wonder of Kula Gulf. During this battle, Helena targeted Nizuki with her main battery, and together with the other American ships, Nizuki sank. However, before Helena could engage the other vessels, she got torpedoed by Susukaze and Tanikaze. Despite the first torpedo hit, Helena continued to fire her main guns as the hit was severe but not fatal. This great feat by Helena could be the wonder that was referenced in her retrofit skill. 2 minutes later, the second and third torpedo hit Helena, and this time she was flooded, left immobilized, and out of electrical power. This was when the crew were told to abandon ship. After Helena sank, nearly 8,000 survivors were in the water, clinging to life rafts. Both Radford and Nicholas were tasked to rescue the survivors, but shortly after the rescue operation began, Nicholas detected enemies approaching them at high speed. So Radford and Nicholas had no choice but to leave and engage the enemy. As the rescue operation continuously got interrupted and delayed by constant engagement with the enemy, there were still many survivors left. This is why Helena in-game pleads to save her instead of pursuing the enemy.
お願い助けて。もう敵にこだわらないで。
Helena in-game talks about her SG radar a lot and is also mentioned in her skill, Radar Scan. This could be a reference to many of the battles when the SG radar proved to be useful, like the Battle of Cape Esperance, where she detected oncoming Japanese squadrons using the SG radar despite the poor visibility caused by the setting of the moon, leaving no ambient light and no visible sea horizon. Alright, so let's talk about Helena's skills. Her first skill is called Radar Scan. Every 20 seconds, there's a 60% chance to apply a debuff to all on-screen enemies, increasing the damage they take by 40% for 10 seconds. This is a very simple yet powerful skill, as the damage increase by 40% at max level is very high. This skill is further improved after retrofit and is now called Radar Scan Plus, which decreases the activation interval of the debuff from 20 seconds to 16 seconds after the first time the skill activates, provided Helena is equipped with a SG radar. The extra 10% bonus evasion helps her relatively low evasion stat of 106 as it increases her survivability. This is very important because the longer Helena survives, the longer she can remain in the field and activate her very strong debuff on enemies. The next skill is called Wonder of Kula Gulf. Decreases the ship torpedo damage taken by 15%. At the start of the battle, if there are 3 ships afloat in your vanguard and there is an Eagle Union ship in the backmost position other than Helena, increases that ship's evasion by 12%. This skill improves her survivability, which, as mentioned before, is very important if you want her to remain in the field to apply that debuff. It also provides a pretty solid supportive skill for Eagle Union ships at the backmost position of your fleet. In terms of stats, her retrofit mainly increases her health, firepower, and anti-air. Sadly, her evasion didn't increase to boost her survivability, but I guess it is somewhat compensated by her skills. I initially retrofitted her for waifu reasons, but after looking more in depth, in addition to the new skills, her anti-air actually increased by a lot, by around 27.9%. This makes her have the top 11th anti-air stat among all the light cruisers in the game so far. Another stat that I overlooked before making this review was her increased firepower stat. After retrofit, she has the 8th highest firepower stat among all the light cruisers in the game so far. This, coupled with her high main gun efficiency of 140% and her skill that increases damage dealt, makes her a surprisingly good damage dealer too. Not the best damage dealer because she is centered around being a support, but a pretty decent one. On the other hand, in terms of health and evasion, her stats are at the middle or lower spectrum among all the light cruisers so far. This still makes her somewhat fragile, so having her in the middle position of your fleet is still highly recommended. Now about the SG radar, it actually isn't as worth it in improving her survivability, but rather it is used mainly to reduce the interval of her radar scan activation. This is because it gives a lower flat 18 evasion stat boost compared to other auxiliary equipment like the high performance hydraulic steering gear, which gives a flat 72 evasion stat boost. I'm not sure how the math works when she has the SG radar, but regardless whether the increase in 10% is of the flat boosted evasion stat with the SG radar or her original evasion stat, both results are still lesser than the flat evasion stat boost that the steering gear provides. In terms of the shortened radar scan activation interval, it provides opportunities for you to play around with timing this skill's activation with your backline barrages and airstrikes to really maximize your damage. Now onto her skins. Something I think the game developers have done really well is developing her character for every new skin introduced. It all started with her New Year's skin, New Year's Bluebird. With this skin, she tells us that her New Year's wish is to become more courageous and positive.
新年の願い。今年こそ心がもっと強くなりますように。そして仲間のみんなが無事でありますように。
If I recall correctly, her next skin to be released was called May I Have This Dance. She does sound a lot more cheerful than before. She also has gained more confidence knowing that you and her friends are always there supporting her.
指揮官は知ってるかな？ヘレナがこんなに明るくなれたのは指揮官のおかげだってこと。私はもう怖くなったり迷ったりはしないわ。だって指揮官とみんながいつもそばにいてくれるから。
This confidence is further boosted once retrofitted, and it comes full circle when you oath her.
新しい装備使いこなすにはちょっと大変そう。今の私ならきっと大丈夫。指揮官、ヘレナに期待してて。昔はうまくできるかどうかいつも心配していたけど、今は指揮官と一緒ならきっと大丈夫って気持ちの方が上回っているわ。
Now moving on to her gears. For her main gun, to maximize her main gun efficiency and relatively high firepower stat, you can't go wrong with high explosive guns like the 155mm main gun mount. Another option is the prototype 155 Kai if you want even more damage, though you will be sacrificing your fire rate. Helena's reload stat is pretty decent at 193, which is the 12th highest reload stat among all the light cruisers in the game so far, so going for the 152mm Mark V is a solid choice. At the more extreme end, if you really want high fire rates, is the 152 Mark 17. As for secondary guns, I go with the twin 127mm Mark 12 because of the additional 25 anti-air stat bonus that complements Helena's relatively high anti-air stat and her 115% anti-air efficiency. Another option is the single 130mm for higher rates of fire and the single 138.6mm for higher damage. So what are my thoughts about Helena? Now I know her retrofit came out a while back, but even till this day, I'd say she is one of the ships I highly recommend retrofitting for new players because the value she brings into the table is too good to pass on. Plus, she is waifu material and her off skin is finally here after 4 years. As compared to before the retrofit, Helena now has a lot more survivability, which makes it better for us to maximize her time on the field and provide that insane damage boost from her skill. Furthermore, she does her role as a supportive character really well, be it from the damage boost and the increased evasion to Eagle Union ships at the backmost position of your vanguard. Apart from gameplay, she is also super adorable, and the fact that she shows character growth in every new skin is amazing. To be frank, there wasn't a need to show such character progression for a gacha game, but the fact that the game developers added this shows how much they really care for Helena, and I deeply appreciate that. Alright, so here are all my thoughts about Helena. What do you guys think? Do let me know in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do leave a like if you guys did, subscribe for more awesome content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.